Oh baby, it's the webcam finals no one asked for. I'm not probably just gonna like only do this for the team builder, so that way it doesn't matter. I don't know, like the format of the thing doesn't work for the postcom. But ooh, we made it to the finals, baby. We're playing DFP rematch of D1 on. I don't know. I beat all the D2 coaches to make it to the finals. Once again, PTL was a spiritual successor of the NSTL, which I also made the finals in, but I lost mainly due to lack of bulk in my team build, trying to work around a Celesteela, making sure I outsped it. Well, guess what? Now I have Celesteela, baby. So it's all good. Few changes, I guess, go over DFP's team. He did not have Dragon Knight, Gardevoir, Claydol. I think those three. Something else might be new. And I know he got rid of Mega Sableye, Zygarde 10%, and Vivillon or whatever that bug thing is. So I don't know. His team's a little bit different. I think he actually gained Mon. I think we had the same amount before, but that was before my transaction, so I may have had one more at the same time. So maybe I just lost one and he kept the same amount. Either way, that was not a great battle. It was one of my worst losses, so it was kind of worrying to go back against this team. But honestly, a big part of that worry was the Zygarde. Even if it was just only 10%, it's still like a threat with that 115 speed. And also, it's just the fact that I let Zeraora go down early, and I just didn't have a lot of like speed counters for Lycanroc, which ended up denting my team. Once Zeraora went down, I didn't have anything else to hit it. So I'm gonna remedy that. You'll see how I'm gonna remedy that. It's insane. So we'll just go right into it. I may have had other things I wanted to speak about, but who cares? Well, I guess I'll just go over this a little bit. So like Zapdos is super scary to my team. Basically, it's like things like Frostlass and like Mega Alt does okay against it, but like Celesteal and Slowbro, not much. King is okay, but it can get extra sensory. Yanmega is not going to do much. Arcanine's okay. Superior is not going to do much. Zero is kind of neutral. So it's like I don't have anything. I don't have like a good rock type. I mean, Frostlass is my ice type. That's okay. But just like I don't know, Zapdos is really annoying, especially if he runs defensive, especially if he's running Roost or Toxic or whatever. So like it's just really annoying for me. Swallow, Lycanroc, and Keldeo are all just scary. Swallow, just spec set is actually pretty decent against my team. I really just have Celesteela and kind of like a special defensive Mega Alt to really deal with it with that scrappy. Lycanroc Dusk, like I said, I mean, like, if besides like a Scarf King or a very defensive Slowbro, and Zeraora outspeeding it, it's gonna be scary. And Keldeo's just has a really good Scarf matchup against my team. Zeraora, if it's not Scarfed, he'll outspeed that. And, Superior is actually decent, but Superior is just basically entirely shut down by Zapdos and a little bit Celebi. So, it's just worries there. And then Incineroar and Scizor, their biggest issue is knockoff. I mean, if I have Mega Alt, then Incineroar doesn't really do much to me. But then if he has Scizor, even Gardevoir, or even Dragonite with like Iron Head, it's just like I don't know. It's just kind of 50-50. Mega Alt is actually okay. That's why it's yellow. Yanmega, kind of the same thing. It's just like Lycanroc is basically the main reason Yanmega wouldn't come. Otherwise, Yanmega totally could. I could run Ancient Power. I don't know. But I'm going with this like I'm going with. So first off, okay, we're going slow, bro. I'll just go right ahead. For the longest time, this thing was a specs set with the exact same EVs. So I still wanted to be able to take like Keldeo hits. If Keldeo had sub or Calm Mind, I have Psyshock on there for it. Um, because otherwise Keldeo really runs through my team. I don't have a ton for it, or if I have Zeraora to potentially outspeed it, it's a very obvious what move I'm gonna click, so it's gonna be an issue. But I switched to Beginnium Z because I guess I'll say this now. I've done 4 mocks for this battle with this team, sort of. So like I basically just built this team on my own. Like there were very few changes. I'll go over what changed like the specs. So originally the Slowbro was specs But otherwise, and then I had flamethrower, but I went to ice beam because like Scissor's just gonna mess me up, or I could just scald it. Ice beam was more important for something like potentially like KOing a Swallow or hitting the Dragonite. The Dragonite was a big part of that ice beam. I felt that was more important, obviously, to be able to hit that thing, even if I'm risking a weakness policy. So I was just thinking like, yeah, Side Shock will hit him really hard. I still have like the bulk to take a hit. Signal Beam will Oko a Celebi if I can predict that switch or something like that. But I just figured if I don't have specs, I can't Oko the Celebi. Basically, and even if it's like just like max speeds, max special attack, I'm not even sure Signal Beam KOs it. So I figured I'd run the Beginnium Z because I don't really need any other Z that I can think of besides like just like running a Water or a Psychic Z for extra damage, situationally. Um, but I was just like the Slowbro did not come into. I was talking about the mocks. This Slowbro did not come into play in any of those mocks. Like there was one actually in the first one. It did Oko SLB on a predicted switch with a Signal Beam, but I'm like, well, if I in that situation, I could have just clicked Beginnium Z and had the same result. It's not, it's sort of, but I was just thinking to myself, like, if I'm, the fact that the specs made no difference basically meant I didn't need it, if that makes sense. So I could afford to run the Beginnium Z, take knockoffs, potentially from Scizor and Cineroar, and go from there. But it's just offense. I could run a healing move, but I feel like I need the coverage. Like I said, things here mainly for checking Keldeo and potentially Lycanroc, and it could just hit everything. It basically kind of prevents setup weirdly enough, just by being offensive enough to mess him up, and I can predict. So it has good coverage, it has a good offensive matchup just by being slow, bro. But I still needed enough bulk, which it was part of the reason of not running max special attack, running that calm nature. I had the specs, but then I was like, well, I still need to like take like an HP electric or a hydro pump from a Keldeo in case it gets +1. It's just weird. I don't know. I could not decide on the Slowbro, so I'm just going with the Beginnium Z over the specs just to be safe. But in the four mocks I've done, I am 4-0. I've won every match, and we'll kind of see why. But Slowbro hasn't played a big role in any of that. So here we have Choice Scarf Zeraora. So there's a few good reasons I have this. One, Slurpuff could come with Sticky Webs. If it does, then Choice Scarf Zeraora still outspeeds Swallow with 252 speed. I also, the same thing for the Slurpuff. I can outspeed a. That's mainly what the 252 EVs in speed gets me the Swallow outspeed under webs. Also, if he's max speed, which like I don't know why he would be, but if he's webs, maybe he is. If that if that does, I don't know if that makes sense. And also I outspeed a +2 Slurpuff, so if it belly drums, I can come back in and Plasma Fist it. I'll outspeed any Scarfer he has, Keldeo, the Gardevoir, +1 Dragonite, +2 Dragonite I outspeed. So that's all good. There's just a tons of outspeeds. It's not. I can still run Adamant, so it still does really good damage with that 112 attack. And I have enough coverage to hit anything I need to on his team, so it's very good. It prevents any of his setup from really mattering, besides like priority with Lycanroc. And I just think it's good. And I have Plasma Fist for basically everything besides Celebi and Claydol, which knock off hits, and then I have the Fire Punch with close combat in case I need extra damage. But I guess I could run Volt Switch in case like whatever. I think I'm scaring something out, and he would go Celebi or whatever. But I'd probably still just knock off. So, there's that set. So, next up, Choice Scarf Celesteela. So, this one's a weird one. Basically, the main point of this Celesteela is to bait Lycanroc into staying in on it, and especially if he gets any sort of, like, minimal chip on this Celesteela, so he can see it's not, like, leftovers or super defensive, and get that Lycanroc to stay in and want to Z Stone Edge me, and I can outspeed him and kill him with Heavy Slam. So the way the speed works, basically, I'm just max speed for the off chance Scarf Incineroar. I don't really think you would bring Scarf Incineroar, but what this also does is it lets me outspeed it lets me outspeed Lycanroc or anything below it that isn't Scarfed. It also lets me outspeed a Swellow that is creeping superior. So I don't know if that'll matter. Like it's just like it's just something I that kind of came across. The main point is just like I had 40 points of speed because I was trying to creep Lycanroc, but I'm like, well, I might as well creep the +1 Incineroar, or two, the Corrupt Swallow. So I don't know. I like, it feels kind of weird to me that he would creep the Swallow. Like, I could, to Superior, I can see him doing it, but I can also see him just like, I don't know. It's just weird. Like the same way like Zeraora doesn't need to be max like 252 speed to sweep to creep the Swallow, but like who knows what he'll do. So it's just safer that way, and the extra 40 points of defense. But Heavy Slam will hit a lot on his team. Stone Edge is kind of for the Zapdos or the Incineroar. Flamethrower obviously for the Scizor, and Acrobatics for the Keldeo and Celebi. So I had Air Slash, and Air Slash with no special attack does actually a little bit more to both Keldeo and Celebi because their defenses and special defenses are the same, than Acrobatics with an item with 252 in attack. But either or Keldeo could be Calm Mind, which the Air Slash could mess up, and I get the attack boost on the Beast boost. So if I do have to like lock into Acrobatics, and I can, like, Zapdos is low enough where Heavy Slam isn't gonna make a difference. So it's like I Acrobatics and I get the +1, and then maybe like Dragonite, whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Like, there's neutral hits where I could get the +1 and maybe sweep or something. Basically, this thing exists for any one of his mons to catch off guard. So, like, say Gardevoir comes in and Gardevoir's not scarfed, and it's like I had one of the mocks that was Calm Mind. So this came in on a Calm Mind Gardevoir, and it's like Gardevoir could totally outspeed me with 80 speed depending on his investment, And it Calm Mind, and I'm assuming it has Thunderbolt, but I just outsped it, outsped and Heavy Slammed it, and it stayed in because it was like, well, it needs the T-Bolt damage on this thing. So like it's just like, Keldeo, even Zapdos, maybe like, some situation I get Zapdos down to like 30% or something, and then I can just like take a little bit of time. So like a lot of these Scarfers are gonna have to involve mind games a little bit. So basically, it's like, yeah, I could bring in Zeraora or Frostlass or whatever, but like maybe I bring in Celesteela, and like he would be obligated to stay in with the 30% Zapdos because he can just roost even if I'm gonna Leech Seed or whatever. He might even want to stay in and T-Bolt me, and he'll want to stay in, and I can outspeed in and hopefully hit it. So it's just weird things like that. Like, obviously Scarf Celesteela is not ideal, but I can't justify running like Flame Charge and needing that extra turn. I need the +1 immediately, and just to catch off guard. This thing, I don't know. In the mocks, it's been like good. I caught a Lycanroc once. I caught the Gardevoir in one, and I caught an Incineroar with Flame Charge in another. So like, it's actually like basically in every mock been good. It's worked. So it's like I'm sticking with it even if it's kind of weird, and we'll see if I can make it work. I have no idea. So keeping with tradition, we have Choice Scarf Nidoking. So yeah, I'm running 3 Scarfers. Basically Nidoking has an incredible offensive matchup, and the big issue is besides I guess Zapdos, Celebi, Keldeo, Lycanroc, and Swallow can all outspeed and just decimate it. I mean, yeah, I could run like Assault Vest and try to take a Specs Boom Burst or even a Water Move. I know I can take I can barely even take a Water Move with the Pasho Berry. It's like a Life Orb Hydro Pump just like goes me like through the Pasho. It's just like, it's bad. Because I did look into that. So basically, I can outspeed +1 Dragonite. I can outspeed a potential Scarf Gardevoir. Celebi, Sludge Wave, Zapdos, Sludge Wave, Ice Beam, Keldeo, Sludge Wave, a lot of Sludge Waves and Earth Powers basically, besides Zapdos. So it's like, it sucks because and Claydol's kind of an issue because like obviously it's like Ice Beam, but Claydol's really special defensive and whatever. I have to run Timid to outspeed that Dragonite. But it's just good. This is my best answer for Lycanroc. So even if he's at like +1 or +2 damage, Acceleroc's not going to do that much to me. I can take a Stone Edge. I can take a Splintered Storm Shards plus an Accelerock. So it's kind of like, it's rough that I still don't really have a switch in to Lycanroc. But at the very worst, if it gets to +2, like I can always bring this Nidoking in and outspeed it and scare it. Assuming he even brings Swords Dance, I have no idea. Well, it's just weird. So yeah, Sludge Wave, Flamethrower basically for the Scizor, but Earth Power, Sludge Wave, and Ice Beam hit everything else. Actually, with perfect coverage, I believe Keldeo doesn't actually. So besides Keldeo, I have perfect coverage on his team with this. which is fine. I'm not gonna run T-Bolt over Flamethrower just to try to hit. The Sludge Wave's gonna do, or even Earth Power's gonna do as much as it can to the Keldeo. But obviously, if it's Calm Mind, that's an issue. So that's why hopefully I have Celesteela to outspeed it if it's Calm Mind, or Zeraora to outspeed it, or if it's Calm Mind or Scarfed. So there's three Scarfers in a row. I'm not bringing a fourth Scarfer, unfortunately. So in comes Frostlass. It is Focus Sash. This is my main answer for Dragonite, really. A little bit to Zapdos. It used to be more to Keldeo, but I think there was one matchup where I Thunderbolted to Keldeo and it did like 50% or something, and I was like, I'd rather just run Thunder Wave. So I am Focus Sash. I don't know. He has quite a few rock options between Claydol and Celebi that are decent, or even Lycanroc if he wants to run rocks on it. But Ice Beam and Shadow Ball hit most of his team. I'm not really gonna stay in on the Lycanroc, which is the one issue with this thing is like Lycanroc's always just gonna come back in on it. Like Lycanroc barely even needs to run max speed. Like worrying about this Frostlass because it can always just Excel Rock this Frostlass. Like what am I gonna do like to that? You know. So like he can probably safely run Adamant and creep the Arcanine and Yanmega speed tiers if he wants to. Because there's really not much I can do. Like, you know, I can Ice Shard him with this Frostlass to outspeed his Accelerock, like, in some niche situation where he's at, like, 15% health or less, or however much, you know, Ice Shard would do to him. But yeah, so I have the Curse Body just because that's the only ability that Frostlass has that can do anything. I'm Focus Sash in case I can bring this thing in, keep it alive, you know, maybe I don't know. It's just like maybe I'm in a situation where Dragonite sets up and it's at like 80% health, so Ice Shard's doing a little over 50% to Dragonite, and even more over 50% to Swallow. So it's good for Swallow too, even if Swallow has Scrappy. I can still Ice Shard the Swallow, and the Dragonite can't Extreme Speed me if it has it, and I have the Ice Shard. The Shadow Ball and Ice Beam is actually pretty good coverage. Incineroar just completely walls this thing regardless. It's always going to wall this thing. Scizor, basically the same thing. Like, Thunderbolt's not going to help against either of those. I mean, Shadow Ball still hits the Scizor. I could run HP Fire over Thunder Wave in case, like, I have my Sash up and I need to hit the Scizor, but, like, I can't imagine between Celesteela, Zeraora, and Arcanine that I don't have, like, a fire move on a mon that can take a bullet punch and KO the Scizor, so like, I'm not that worried about it. But yeah, so like in basically like 2 or 3 of the mocks that Dragonite came, this Frostlass checked it. It tried to set up and KO'd something, or it did whatever. It set up a little bit, and I was able to get it low enough for Ice Shard to kill or Focus Sash to pop or whatever. So yeah, it's the first time in a while Frostlass has had even close to a good matchup. So I actually feel okay bringing it to the finals. It's done well for me in these hypothetical mocks. And the last thing about the mocks, I'll just talk about that more before I finish. This is the long team builder, but it's the finals. Like no plan because like I can't, like, it's not a real mock if you do it, but like every mock was different in like the best way possible. So the first mock, he brought all like the obvious threats. So he brought like a defensive Zapdos, Scarf, or it was Wakan Keldeo. He bluffed a Scarf. He had like Lycanroc. He had Dragonite. He had a Banded Scizor. So he had a bunch of like obvious threats, and I still was able to win. The Scarf has helped a lot. And I was like, great. I was like, okay, well, I'm worried about like I want to see how I do against Incineroar because it has a slightly better defensive matchup against me, a little bit worse offensive matchup. And then the next person they brought Incineroar. They brought like. I don't know. They brought a Keldeo again, Scarf Keldeo. They brought another Zapdos. So it was like special defensive. So it was like the next person brought like 3 of the main threats or 4 of the main threats, and then 2 other fill-ins that I was worried about. Okay, and then I was like, okay, well I kind of want to see how a Scizor and an Incineroar do because I'm really worried about that like knockoff potential. Both of them having knockoff and U-turns, and like how I don't have a lot of switch-ins. So like the more U-turns they get, the more momentum he keeps. That could be bad, and then. My third mock, they brought both Scizor and Incineroar, and they brought more offensive threats. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is so good. And I won that one. I'm like, okay, I can handle both of those. Even though the Scizor set was like a garbage gimmick set. It didn't make any sense. And then the last mock, I don't know if I had faced a Swallow. I think maybe I had, but I was really worried about Slurpluff just bringing webs and Spec Swallow. And, like, he brought those. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it worked. And he got up webs with... Slurpuff early on. I don't have any defoggers, and I could have actually actually prevented Webs from getting up, but I didn't want to risk him having a sash. He didn't end up having a sash, but I couldn't have known that. So I could have OHKO'd Surpuff turn 1, but then I still won because of Scarfer's living. Like, Celesteela was Scarfed and the Webs don't affect it, and then Zeraora is Scarfed, so it can still outspeed the Swallow, and I won that one. So it was like beautiful. I had seen everything. I was so confident with this team. Like I said, the only things that have changed was and Slowbro was specs for all 4 of those, and I just got nervous because like it didn't matter. I was like, I can't lock myself into a move and lose the league because I was stubborn about changing specs off. When the fact that it didn't help me or didn't hurt me, I was like, well, it's probably more likely to hurt me. But that's just my logic behind that. And then it's just like a couple movesets, a couple EVs changed. Like Zero wasn't always outspeeding Swallow. That was like after the second one. I thought of doing that. Celesteela was a little bit slower before, and then I boosted it up. And then Thunder Wave over Thunderbolt, I think, was also the same thing as Slowbro, where like it didn't end up mattering. I didn't really need the Thunderbolt, so I said, oh, okay, well, if I don't need the Thunderbolt, then Thunder Wave could be better or equally as good. And last one. Sorry, I don't know, tangents, is Choice Banded Arcanine. So I am actually bringing 4 Choicers. I originally built this team with 5 Choicers, which would be awesome if I can somehow pull off a win with 5 Choicers in the finals. But like I just like it's too much even for me, which is like silly because I don't care. But yeah, so this set has not changed at all. So I Wild Charge in case I need to hit like the Keldeo, and that's gonna outspeed me and kill me, and then never really switch in. I Flare Blitz. This thing is really good for handling a defensive Zapdos. It's great offensive pressure for Celebi and all his slower stuff. Even Incineroar. It helps me a lot with Incineroar with the Intimidate. It helps prevent Dragonite from really setting up. I've gotten in at least 1 or 2 situations where I've needed to Intimidate and Extreme Speed the Dragonite so that way Frostlass can come back in and revenge it. But there's things like, it's decent for Swallow too with the Extreme Speed. But obviously Lycanroc is still a big issue. Keldeo is still a decent issue. Dragonite's an issue for it in the fact that I basically need to keep it in on Dragonite to be able to chip it down to kill it, basically. So depending on if he has rocks, if he doesn't have rocks and Frostlass is full, maybe I'll switch Frostlass in first, and I can either because that would still be risky because if he well, no, okay, I don't know. He would have to attack me before without setting up at all. So he'd have to attack me to break my sash, but then he would need speed. So it doesn't really make sense. So like I probably could go Frostlass in that situation. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But yeah, so like the Extreme Speed and the Flare Blitz are really good. The Close Combat can be useful for Incineroar, and yeah, so like that Zapdos is a big problem if it's just like too bulky and it's just roosting on everything because I have all these Choicers. Besides Arcanine, I have these Scarfers that are locked into moves, so it's like I can't lock. If I lock into Ice Beam, it doesn't matter because I'll outspeed them, so that's good. But it's like, so I can't lock in Earth Power or whatever because he's actually faster, and Sludge Wave is going to do decent amount depending if he's special or physical. So whatever. So Arcanine is a good wall breaker for that. I mean, it may be risky switching it into his Zapdos, but if I know he's going to roost, I can Flare Blitz the next turn. And he's not going to want to switch Lycanroc or Keldeo and do a Flare Blitz or even a Dragonite. I guess multi-scale Dragonite, but then I can outspeed it because I'm prepped to outspeed Dragonite. So, I don't know. I felt good leading Arcanine most of the time. There's decent, like, there's a Claydol lead that I can just get a huge chunk on. There's Scizor and Incineroar leads that are going to want to, like, U-turn out and stuff. There's Slurpuff lead. I led against Slurpuff in the match the mock it came against, and I could have Flare Blitzed turn 1 and just OHKO'd it, but I wanted to do Extreme Speed to break its potential sash, even though I was banded. But I didn't want him, because if, I don't know, depending on what kind of weird set he could be, if I brought him to, I guess he didn't have Dragonite in that one, so I guess I could have been a little more crazy with Frostlass. I could have, Flare Blitzed him potentially to his sash and then gone Frostlass and taken any move. After he webs and then Ice Sharded. But whatever, you know what I mean. In theory, like, I wouldn't want to do that. But he ended up being Citrus, so it kind of screwed me over because he had Surf, so, like, Arcanine took a big chunk for no reason. Yeah, so whatever. So I have 4 Choice Bonds. 3 of them are Choice Scarfed. It's going to be a lot of, like, mind games into this. Basically, like I said, like, if Lycanroc, like, gets to +2 and KOs Arcanine or something, okay, I can't just, like, click Celesteela and jump right in. Like, I'll have to wait. But like that won't translate into a post-con, which I'm gonna have to do. I can't. I'm not gonna be able to record this live. I just like I don't have enough time to like set up and I'll be kind of doing stuff a little bit, like trying not to be multitasking during the finals. But like I just know it's on a Sunday. I'm not gonna have. Oddly enough, the way my life is, like Sunday is not a time I have like time to sit down and do a live recording. Even though I would kind of like to, I don't know, break the curse of last season or something, where I like lost most of my live comp. But whatever. So, yep. So that's it. It's a 25-minute team builder. It's out of control. So we'll be doing this battle this upcoming Sunday. That doesn't mean anything to you because it'll just come, a couple minutes after this. Not even. That'd be too long. So yeah, so it's like it's a scary matchup. Like the mocks have got me like a very good comment. Not like not overconfident, like I can't lose, but like I actually think I like on the first go I built the right team that he needed to win. It covers everything. I'm not trying to predict his six. I'm not worried about the matchup. I feel like my options are open. Basically the way I see it is like the more defensive if he runs like super defensive team, I'm screwed. If he runs like a really defensive Clay Doll, roosting Zapdos, a recover Celebi, even a roosting Dragonite, like the more and a roosting Scizor even and he just brings like a Spec Swallow or like a Lycanroc or if he brings like 4 to even 5 really defensive mons, I'm screwed because I'm going to locking myself into weak moves. But I really don't think he would ever do that, especially against like the kind of team I have where he'd be kind of asking for like bulk up Zera or even Autotomize Celesteela, or like Celesteela does really good against Stally teams because I can just Leech Seed anything, or if it's a grass type I can just hit it. So it's like, or a substitute if he's trying to run status and stuff. So like I don't think he can run a very defensive team against me, and we kind of showed that against like Brendan a little bit. Shay didn't really bring that defensive team, but I've done really well against defensive teams. It's just been like being countered by offense. Besides Nidoqueen walling my whole team, but that was bad building on my part, because I had oversights on the Miltank. Whatever, that was a while ago. So we're in the finals anyways. Who cares? They didn't make the playoffs. We did it. Magic, lucky. So yeah, finals battle will be coming up, but I felt I would do like a little bit of a face cam, a little bit of a long thing. No one's gonna watch this whole thing. It's 26 goddamn minutes. It's out of control. But it's the finals, so who knows? So, yep. Thanks for watching up to this point, and we'll pop up the battle right about now.
Ooh, baby, battle time. All right. So, just gonna jump right into it. The first thing I noticed was his team he brought. Naturally, I don't know. It's a redundant statement. So yeah, no Scizor, no Incineroar, no Keldeo, no Celebi. That means, ignoring Celebi, he has no ice resist, and actually 4 ice weaknesses. So that's actually great for Frostlass, decent for Scarf Nidoking, and even Slowbro a little bit. And looking at his team, I figured the Arcanine lead would still be what I want to go with. I mean, Nidoking has a great matchup here. If Gardevoir Scarfed, I outspeed it. And like I said, just Ice Beam and Sludge Wave and Earth Power to hit everything on his team. The kind of problem is like if I lock into Sludge Wave, Claydol on them. If I lock into Earth Power, he has 4 flying types, and Ice Beam is my best bet. But I don't want him to lead Claydol and be able to get rocks up for free and risk Nidoking getting hurt, because I kind of need Nidoking as like a impromptu Lycanroc switch. So I'm gonna go with Arcanine. I was thinking Claydol's best bet, but turns out I'm going to lead Arcanine, and he's actually going to lead Swellow. So turn 1, I'm just like, oh wait, this is actually awful for me. So he doesn't know that I'm offensive. So from his perspective, it could go either way. I calc this immediately, and I see a Boom Burst Specs will completely take Arcanine out. But at the same time, I don't want to switch Celesteela in. 1, it's offensive, and it's going to take a ton from a Boom Burst. And 2, I don't want that getting chipped. I don't want him U-turning or heat waving. So I figured like this sucks, but I may just have to bite the bullet on this. And it's like he doesn't have Scizor or Incineroar, so I was kind of like, okay, like those were 2 of the big things Arcanine helped me with. So I'll bite the bullet. I'll go for Extreme Speed. I could stay in it and Flare Blitz, but if you Boom Burst, then I just drop and lose Arcanine, and I can't risk it. So I go for Extreme Speed. Choice Banded does a ton to Swallow. And he U-turns, and I'm like, oh, thank God. He predicted Celesteela to come in, made the safe play. So he's going to see the damage. No, I must be Choice Banded, and I don't want Arcanine taking a huge hit. So I go right into Slowbro. I know I can fire off Scalds all I want. He's going to show Reflect. And I was like, oh, man, if this thing's dual screens, I'm in a hell of a situation, but he's actually leftover. So I know the Reflect is only going to last 5 turns. That helps me a lot. And here I'm kind of faced with a tough choice because, like I said, I'm not Specs like I was planning on for most of the time. Specs damage would have been huge there, and he had no like Keldeo or Celebi, so locking into Scald was pretty much fine. Besides Dragonite, a little bit, but so I see after the leftovers, there's a chance Scald will not 2-hit KO. There's like I could have calced, and I was just running. I was like, well, I'm just gonna go for the safe play. I was like, I considered Ice Beaming in case Zapdos or even Dragonite came in. I wouldn't expect Dragonite too, but Zapdos maybe. But I figured I'll go for the Buggy Z in case he wants to stay in, especially wants to light screen and try to take 2 Scalds going forward. So he is in fact going to switch into Zapdos. So kind of a lot of thought for little reward for me. I used my Buggy Z, but like it wasn't going to be doing much otherwise, so it's kind of fine. But I'm gonna obviously have to switch here. I'm gonna go into Nidoking. I don't think he's in a position to kind of like predict and go for any sort of like hidden power ice or anything. But he's gonna show off substitute, which does suck. Fortunately, it's a reflect up and not a light screen, so I can ice beam, show off I'm scarfed pretty much. Unless he's like very no speed as Zapdos, then there's a chance that he wouldn't know what I am. But regardless, he's gonna go into Lycanroc. He can speed me if I'm not scarfed. If I am, then Ice Beam will kill. And I figured it was safe to go into Celestial for a drill run because he really wouldn't need to go for Stone Edge. So I'm gonna scare him out. He doesn't know if I'm offensive or defensive. It's just how it goes. Here, after Zapdos takes Heavy Slam, I'm actually gonna predict the Roost and go into Arcanine to see if I can get a free Flare Blitz off because he basically has nothing to take it besides Dragonite, kind of. But it turns out he's going to substitute yet again. I'm going to Flare Blitz, and he's going to Baton Pass out, which is great for him. As being outsped gives him the kind of slowness, I don't know, whatever, for Arcanine. So I have to switch out here. He is going to Boom Burst this time. I'm not going to take any risks, except I do take a risk. So Celesteela, after the second switch in of Rocks, loses 42%, and that's a 2-hit KO, which is really bad. I saw that. I was like, oh man, I was really hoping I could take 2. So basically, the issue is I have to sack Celesteela here. There's nothing else on my team that's worth sacking. After a rock switch, I'm almost guaranteed an Accelerock range. I'm not going to outspeed a Scarf Gardevoir. I'm not going to outspeed +1. Dragonite, Zapdos is there. So there's not a lot for me to do. I don't know. I'm going to click Heavy Slam. I could click Stone Edge to prevent Zapdos from coming in, but that gives Claydol a free switch. So it's kind of a 50-50, and I could miss. So and I could just be outsped. So I was just like, we hope he crept Superior, but we'll have to see here. And turns out he did, and we get a kill with Celesteela. So that wasn't huge. I could have revenged that swallow pretty easily, but that is a great deal of momentum in my favor. Here I'm going to be, okay, now he has to Roost with Zapdos. I'm going to go on Arcanine, get the momentum. I don't want to go into Nidoking. Turns out I should have gone into Nidoking. That should have made a lot more sense. I've seen Substitute and Baton Pass. I don't really know, like, what I was thinking, but I lose Arcanine kind of for no reason. It sucks. Now I can go into Nidoking and go for a free Ice Beam. I don't click Sludge Wave because of this situation. He's going to sack off Claydol here. I could have taken an Ice Beam and hit me back with a move, but I figured he was thinking he would take an Ice Beam. Get a free switch into Gardevoir now. Pretty much guarantees I'm scarfed. So Gardevoir comes in, traces Sheer Force. So that's actually a big issue for me is Trace against this team is really good. So I'm going to go into Slowbro. I know he can take a hit. He does go for Psychic, so we're going to see. Basically, here's what I'm thinking. There's a good chance he's choiced after that damage. I'm assuming he's not. He basically can't be Specs. But yeah, so basically Trace for Gardevoir is really good. He can trace Volt Absorb for Zera, whatever it's called, Regenerator for Slowbro, Beast Boost, Intimidate. But he's got Sheer Force. It's like there's tons of good traces. Basically, even Curse Body off Frost last little bit. All 6 of mine were good traces for him. But here I'm thinking, well, if he's scarfed, he'll have to switch because I could probably slack off and. If I have it, he's going to see that damage and probably not assume Assault Vest. I know I have a decent amount of Special Bulk, but he may still think... No, wait, I can't be Assault Vest. I shut off my Z. We're good to go, baby. So I'm thinking, okay, if he switches moves, it'll be Moonblast or Thunderbolt, which means Nidoking can actually come right back in, and if he switches out, I'll have a great matchup against whatever comes back in. So I'm able to double right back into Nidoking as he does go Zapdos. Awesome for me. I could have clicked Sludge Wave here. I probably really should have, but I'm going to click Ice Beam to be safe. Guarantee it KOs the Zapdos, and he is going to go back into Gardevoir, retrace my Sheer Force, and Ice Beam is not a 2-hit KO, which is a big issue for me. So I'm going to have to go back into Slowbro, see how much these Psychics are doing, and know that after the 30%, there's a decent chance he is going to stay in Psychic. Again, I'm not going to try a weird double, and I only have Scald to hit him, which isn't going to KO from where he's at. So it is rough for me. I have to let Slowbro drop. I could have sacked something else off and gotten Regenerator back, but I figured Slowbro was the least useful to my team. I have a free switch into Zera, and I'm going to go for Plasma Fist. I could have knocked off there, but it is risky with the Lycanroc. So I'm going to Plasma Fist. He's going to take this opportunity to start trying to set up with Dragonite. It's a very obvious thing to do. I don't have Rocks up. So, okay. Here's the thing. I actually don't have proof that Gardevoir is Scarfed. After it Psychicked the Slowbro every turn, I was like 99% sure it was Scarfed. But me bringing in Zera, basically, if he's Scarfed, he could outspeed a max speed Zera. He knows for a fact that I'm Scarfed. I'm like, well, if he knows for a fact that I'm Scarfed, he's probably going to run some speed calcs and know that Zera will outspeed this Dragonite, even at +2, depending on my speed investment. But, like, even if I'm creeping Swellow, which, naturally I should be, like, he should know that, that I'm going to outspeed him. So I'm like, well, if Zera goes down, I do have Nidoking. If he only gets to +1, or if he gets a +2 and he has extreme speed, then I have Frostlass. So basically, either way, I can safely bring stuff in. But then if here's my foresight here. If I'm forced to bring Nidoking in and either Lycanroc or Zapdos have not taken enough damage, I can't lock myself into Earth Power to beat Lycanroc without Zapdos freely coming in. And if I lock myself into Ice Beam, he has chances for Lycanroc to come in and revenge me and all that stuff. So I figured Zera is more important to keep around and risk the second Dragon Dance because I still have like Frostlass basically to kind of check his extreme speeds if he has it. So I'm going to go Celesteela as he's actually going to click Dragon Dance. He didn't run the calcs on speed. This is like a hindsight thing. So that's why he chose that move because we talked about it. But he fire punches, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, well, I have to go for Frostlass now to get that Ice Shard off. I still want Zera alive because, like I said, I'm still checking the Zapdos and things. So he shows off Iron Head, which actually is great for me. He could have fire punched again, and I would have been worried about extreme speed. But either way, I am forced to go Zera now. So I do have to be with Plasma Fist. If I had just stayed in, I'd be in a much better position. But I had to play with a safe route. I was trying to look ahead, and I definitely did go for the safe play. So he goes Zapdos, I'm like, okay, like, I've seen 3 of your moves. I'm assuming the last is Roost. I'm kind of in a bad situation, but I can't switch either. But he actually shows agility. And as we just saw with Dragonite, we know this is defensive based on that Plasma Fist damage. He does not have Roost this whole time. I was playing around Roost. He does not have it. So now, I'm like, wait a second. This could be it. So he rings in Lycanroc, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to get damage on this thing and outspeed it. Looks like a great situation for me. And then he drill runs. And crits doesn't matter. That was going to KO me. So here's, it's the last turn of the game. We know for a fact. So I'm going to throw in a little bit of tension here and pause it. This is a thought that occurred to me during the battle. I was like, wait a second. I've only ever seen him use one move. Like, I thought about this after I did the stuff with Zera. I was just kind of clicking, like, I was kind of like tunnel visioning on the fact that I could have won after Zapdos went down. I'm like, I'm safe. What if he is Scarfed Lycanroc? And I was like, well, like, there's nothing I could do about it at this point. But I was like, I haven't seen him switch moves, and he did pick Drill Run over going for Z Stone Edge if he were that item. And I'm like, what if I needed to double into Zera to win, or like double and go into Nidoking and go back into Zera and go for close combat to win this game? So, like, I'm just like, wait a second. There's, like I said, nothing I can do about it, but I'm thinking he could be Scarfed. So we'll have to see the results. We're the champions, baby. That's right, I did it. 3 Scarfers. Who do you think you are? I am. Woo! Okay, so we win. PTL Season 1 champions. He was not Scarfed Lycanroc. Obviously, he was not. But in the moment, I still had to consider it. So, yeah, I would say agility with Zapdos and all that made a lot more sense had he been a Z move and with Spec Swallow. Those are her two passers. He's not really going to pass speed to Clay at all. He doesn't totally need to. His Dragonite, it could be nice, and Gardevoir was already scarfed. So we did it. So immediately, first thing I want to kind of thank, I guess, is Zeraora, the literal MVP of the entire league, because that thing went 12-1 in my 3 playoff matches, which is just completely insane. That thing carried me this whole season, carried me in the playoffs. Incredible. I want to, basically congratulate DFP on a great season. Like, he totally deserved to be in the finals. There's nobody who didn't deserve to be in the finals out of those who made it to the playoffs, or even some coach who missed playoffs who totally deserved to be in there. But our system was a little bit borked, and not everyone could make it, unfortunately. But we kind of remedied that for the second season, although I believe we have lost the interdivisional play. So, next, I'll thank my friends who mocked with me. Like I said, I did those 4 mocks. If you don't watch the team builder, it's fine. I basically built this team, went through all my mocks, made slight adjustments, but I didn't change any items. I bumped a couple of speeds up. I changed like 2 moves. I changed Slowbro's item, but that had nothing to do with the mocks. But it's just like the mocks made me feel really confident about any formulation of mons he would bring. I didn't need to predict his 6. I had 6 that I thought could get the job done. So the people I mocked with were D-Train, Mid Pokemaster, Bloodcrawler, and Very Creative Name. All PTL coaches. All of them besides Blood are going to be D1 next season, so they're all good. Blood is also good, but I think he was a replacement coach, so like he didn't really draft his team, but I know he's good. I've been in leagues with him. We battled. We're evenly matched in terms of matchups, but whatever. So awesome stuff. I don't know if any of them will be watching this. So there's a decent chance. D-Train, you suck. You're also the greatest. Mid, garbage. Also the greatest, all of them. Very is actually super awesome, dude. But whatever. I don't know. It's just absurd. But we actually freaking did it. So it feels really good to be vindicated, basically, from last season where we made the finals and lost 1-0 in a winnable game. But, it's still the loss hurts. So it would have been really almost embarrassing to make the finals again and lose again. You never want to be that guy who's always, like, getting second place. So I feel really, really redeemed and, justified. I don't know. It feels good. I know Pokemon leagues aren't super serious. It is a hobby, but it feels good to, be good and not like be better than other people, but to be able to beat them, in 3 battles in a row, kind of arbitrary playoffs. We didn't have the best record by any means, but we didn't have the worst, so it's fine. I did really like my team this season. It definitely didn't have. It was very similar to my team last season, honestly. I just didn't have the defense in a lot of matchups where I had to run hyper offense like very often. There was a couple of defensive matchups, like I don't know, I'm not going to name the matches specifically, but there were 3 or 4 where I went more defensive and it worked out for me. But there was a lot where I just ran offense, just like this one. So yeah, that was great. It was pretty awesome. I brought 3 choice scarfers and a choice band. He brought a scarfer and a choice specs. Gardevoir and Swallow. So there were 6 out of the 12 mons in the finals were choiced. It could have been over 50% had I kept Specs Slowbro, but that might have changed the pace a little bit and might have actually screwed me over in some weird way. So, I'm fine with it. It would have been nice, in hindsight, I could have brought Scarf Frostlass and Slowbro, or Choice Slowbro too, just like based on how the match went. Like, nothing. All Frostlass did was go for an Ice Shard, so it literally could have been any item. But it could have been Banded, honestly, and that might have actually worked. But you know what I mean. So, yeah, like, I wouldn't have done that, but in hindsight I could have, which is kind of funny. But it's still fun to have brought 3 Scarfs and have it work out. I like the prep actually worked. It wasn't just like me goofing off. It wasn't me joking around. Like, it was the team. I don't know. It just like came to me in the moment, and it worked out. So I feel really good about this season. I don't know. There's not much else. I'll probably try to do season recap. I was thinking about like comparing my predicted kill deaths in my art show based on what actually happened. With transactions, it'll be messed up a little bit, but there's still like enough of them, like Celsteela and Zera and Mega Alto, like the ones all my main guys that I've kept, even Slowking, whatever. Slowking, I combined Slowbro and Nidoking. So yeah, stuff like that. In hindsight, I could have switched out Zera to come back into close combat, but he could have been Focus Sash. He could have been Chopple for all I knew. Like it wouldn't have been worth to risk it, even if I like had come up with that scarf concept uh, before I let Zera drop. But it would have been nice for Zera to go 13-0 in the in the playoffs and finish off my season. But I'll let Nidoking do it. Nidoking's an awesome Pokemon, and after Nidoqueen was my like second MVP last season, and Nidoking did me pretty well this season, not as good. But that's because Zera carried every week. So that's all I can really think of. If you've watched up to this point, if whether you watched the team builder or not, just thank you for watching. Even if you don't comment or like or do anything, your spiritual support of watching this video is awesome to me. I'm actually like secretly sick. I don't know how well that comes across. Probably decently. Maybe not like the best voice to be doing this, but that's okay. Yeah. There's a chance none of this got like volumed, like recorded. I don't know. I don't trust Camtasia to do anything right. Maybe I can do some editing in this. I don't know. I meant to make a joke about songs, about like Queen doing "We Are the Champions," but then I forgot to do it because I was excited about winning, baby. You gotta keep the excitement up. I forget to do that sometimes. I talk monotone a little bit, but that's okay. So I don't think I have anything else to add now, But just thank you. I don't know. It was awesome. Anyone who supported me, anyone who helped me, like it's really fun. This community is awesome. Specifically the PTL, but the league community is pretty good. There's some people who float out there. That leagues die, but like this is a pretty solid online community for a video game. I've been in a lot, and a lot of them are like commonly bad. But I mean, I don't know. I guess like Showdown community is not great, but like the leagues on Showdown are fine, so it's fine. I don't know what I'm talking about. Going down the rabbit hole. So, anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you for season 2 as well. We're gonna start drafting for that somewhat soon, within half a month at the time of this recording, right at the end of the year. So, have a happy new year whenever you watch this. Doesn't matter. Hopefully, your current year's going well. I don't know, but thank you and goodbye for now. Hopefully we'll be able to continue our success in season 2. A lot of pressure as a returning champ, but at the same time a little bit of ease because I've done it. I won't. I'm not the second place guy twice in a row, so like I don't have as much to prove, but I'm not gonna slack off and be lazy. So once again, thank you and peace.